As a newlywed, Alice thought she had it all: a successful career, a handsome husband, and a cozy home. But soon after giving birth to their first child, Alice noticed that her husband, Jack, began disappearing for long periods of time. At first, she didn't think much of it. Jack was a successful businessman, after all, and had to travel for work. But when he started to become increasingly distant and began neglecting their child, Alice grew suspicious. One day, while Jack was out of town, Alice decided to do some digging. She checked his phone and found several incriminating messages from other women. Her heart sank. Jack had been cheating on her. Alice was devastated, but also furious. She confronted Jack when he returned home, and he didn't deny it. He said he was sorry and promised to end things with the other women. Alice wanted to believe him, but the trust between them had been broken. As the months went by, Jack continued to disappear for long stretches of time. Alice began to feel lonely and neglected, and the stress of caring for their child on her own started to take a toll on her health. She gained weight and stopped taking care of herself. One day, Jack disappeared for good. Alice tried to reach him, but his phone was disconnected, and he didn't respond to her messages. She called his office, but they said he hadn't been there in weeks. Alice was worried sick. Had something happened to Jack? Or had he simply abandoned her and their child? Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Alice struggled to make ends meet on her own, but eventually, she found the strength to move on. She started exercising and eating healthy, and she even landed a promotion at work. Years went by, and Alice never heard from Jack again. She eventually found out that he had left the country with one of his mistresses and had started a new life elsewhere. Alice was hurt and angry, but also grateful for the lessons she had learned. She had discovered her own strength and resilience, and had become a better mother and person as a result. In the end, Alice realized that Jack's disappearance had been a blessing in disguise. She was no longer tied to a cheating husband who didn't value her or their child, and she had a newfound appreciation for her own worth and independence. For 10 years, I had been happily married to my husband, Adam. We had built a life together, filled with love, respect, and trust. Our home was always full of laughter and warmth. We shared everything, from our successes to our struggles. I thought we had the perfect marriage, but I was wrong. It all started when we hired a new maid, Maria, to help us around the house. She was young, beautiful, and full of energy. Adam had been the one to hire her, saying that she was the most qualified candidate. I trusted his judgment and welcomed her into our home. At first, everything was fine. Maria was a hard worker, always eager to please. But as time went by, I began to notice subtle changes in Adam's behavior. He started spending more time at home, always finding excuses to be around Maria. I tried to ignore my gut feeling, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. One day, I came home early from work and found Adam and Maria in a compromising position. They were kissing passionately in the living room. I was shocked and heartbroken. I couldn't believe that my husband, the man I loved and trusted, could betray me like this. I confronted Adam and Maria, demanding an explanation. They both denied that anything was going on, but I knew better. I could see the guilt in their eyes. I felt like my whole world had come crashing down around me. Over the next few days, I tried to make sense of what had happened. I couldn't understand why Adam would risk everything we had for a fling with our maid. I was angry, hurt, and confused. I couldn't bring myself to speak to either of them. Finally, Adam came to me and admitted the truth. He had been having an affair with Maria for several months. He said it started out as harmless flirting, but it quickly escalated into something more. He was sorry, and he begged for my forgiveness. I didn't know what to do. My marriage, the foundation of my life, had been shattered. I loved Adam, but I couldn't trust him anymore. And as for Maria, I felt betrayed by her too. She had been like family to us, and she had repaid our kindness by sleeping with my husband. In the end, I decided to end my marriage to Adam. It was the hardest decision I ever made, but I knew it was the right one. I couldn't stay with a man who had cheated on me with our maid. I needed time to heal and to rebuild my life. As for Maria, we fired her immediately. I couldn't stand the sight of her anymore. She had destroyed my marriage, and I couldn't forgive her for that. It's been a year since that fateful day, and I'm still trying to move on. I've learned that trust is a fragile thing, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I've also learned that people aren't always who they seem to be. My perfect marriage was a facade, and it took the betrayal of my husband and our maid to show me the truth. But despite everything, I'm still hopeful for the future. I know that I'll find love and happiness again someday. And I'll be stronger for having gone through this experience. As for Adam and Maria, I hope they find peace and learn from their mistakes. But they'll always be a painful reminder of the betrayal that nearly destroyed me.